Welcome one and all, Nyanko here, and today I am here to talk about a very kiddie show that filled me with much joy when I was younger to watch it, and that is Tokyo Mew Mew, or Mew Mew Power if you watched it in English, like I used to, and then I was like, there's only 26 episodes of this, and then I found out that it was subbed online, and let's just say it was my very first subbed anime. So yeah, Tokyo Mew Mew, or Mew Mew Power. So if you don't know what Mew Mew Power is or what Tokyo Mew Mew is, it's a story about 5 girls who have the ability to transform into magical. They're magical girls, but they transform into like part animals because they've been spliced with like red data animal DNA. So basically, you've got Ichigo, who is the main girl, who is infused with a cat. You've got Mint, who is infused with a bird. You've got Lettuce, who is infused with like a dolphin or a porpoise. You've got Pudding, who is infused with like a monkey, a rare monkey. And then you've got Sakura, who is infused with the wolf. And they transform into their like magical girl outfits. I'll put those up as well. And they fight against these aliens who are trying to take over the planet. And it's strong themes of, protect our wildlife, protect our planet, do better, that kind of thing. So yeah, you've got the villains, who you have Quiche, you have Tart, and you have Pie. And they are all sent to Earth to basically clear off humanity so that their people can move in, because it turns out their people used to live there millennia ago, but then were forced to leave the planet, and then the planet they went to died because they basically treated the planet how we're treating our planet, and they're now trying to reclaim Earth so that basically they have a second chance with a second home. And also because humans are doing to the planet what they did to their old planet, and they're like, no, we can't let you do this, kind of thing. And these guys are working under Deep Blue. And Deep Blue is the main big bad guy of the thing. So yeah, basically, it starts out with just Zoe, Ichigo, so... Okay, so they all have, if you watched Mew Mew Power, then they all had English names. So Ichigo was Zoe, Minto was... What was Mint's name? I always forget what Mint's name was. I know Lettuce was Bridget. I know Pudding was Kiki. I know Sakura was Renee. Oh, what was Minto's name? Was she still Mint? I can't remember. I'm gonna have to double check that. I don't remember. Oh, Karina. That was her name. She was called Karina. In the English. So yeah, like the English one had different names and stuff. But yeah, it was really good. It's kind of like a bit villain of the week. So you've always got Quiche, Tart and Pie. Well, actually you've originally only got Quiche, and then Tart and Pie come in later when Quiche isn't doing so good and Deep Blue is kind of getting annoyed with him. But yeah, they use like these little alien parasite things to turn animals into chimeras, and then the girls have to beat them each week, and then their powers slowly evolve as you go through the series. Ichigo gets power-ups as you go through the series as well, becomes more powerful. So, but they all work together and have to team up. But it starts off with Zoe on her own, and then she recruits Minto. She recruits Mint, and then they recruit Bridget, and then they get Kiki join them, or Pudding. Sorry, I'm gonna get all the names confused. And then you've got Sakura who joins them, but she kind of almost joins the bad guys in the beginning. She's more of a lone wolf, but then does join the Mew Mews and becomes one of their most powerful members. And then when all 5 are together, they're more powerful, and they go on and they have to keep beating the big bads and so on and so forth. You've also got a couple of romance storylines in the background. So you've got Ichigo and Aoyama, who she falls in love with him, and that, like, he's or she never actually tells him that she's a Mew Mew in the beginning, and that's the storyline that plays out through it. Is like she's constantly having to ditch him to go save the world, but can't tell him, and then that gets resolved and that plays out along the way. You've also got the Blue Knight, who ends up showing up a couple of times, who's central to the storyline as well. He ends up saving Zoe / Ichigo from Quiche a couple of times. Or Dren, as he ends up getting called in English. But I like Quiche better. So yeah, it's 52 episodes long. It's really good. So each of the girls has a storyline that builds on them. And, you know, by the end of it, they've all got really complete characters and they're very fleshed out. And it's very rewarding with the ending, actually. And it's quite heartbreaking and sad and then lovely and then more tears. And yeah, I remember watching it, being like 12-year-old me watching it. Like, first thing that I ever saw subbed opened my eyes to the fact that, you know, there were a whole range of things that I'd seen like bits of in English, but that there was more of it available online in Japanese, and it could have bigger stories, and I was like, mind blown. And that got me into subbed watching. But I mean, I was always a strong reader. I know some people these days who are like 12 and stuff, and they're not as strong at reading, so they prefer the English dubs, and that's grand. Whereas for me, at that age, I was like, I just wanted the content, and I was like, give me the content, I need it. So I didn't care if it was in English, or if I had to read English subtitles to get what I wanted, you know, so it was grand for me. Increased my reading speed, and I was already pretty fast at it, so I was like, ooh, you just speed reading. Like, yeah, the costumes are really cute, the characters are really good. Oh, I forgot to mention Ryu and, what's his name? Because I know that they're Elliot and Wesley in the English, but in the Japanese, they are called... what are they called? Yeah, there's Ryu, who is Elliot, isn't he? Yes. Yeah, so in the... Yeah, he's called Elliot Grant in the English, but in the Japanese, he's Ryu Shirogane. And then you've got Keiichiro Akasaka, but he was known as Wesley in the English, so that's why I'm getting myself all confused. So yeah, they're the main two who like put together the project, and you find out that like Ryu's parents were killed by a chimera animal, like a chimera animal, and that's what drove him into creating the Mew project and trying to save the planet. And he's kind of like a genius. And then Wesley was his father's assistant, who then kind of took Ryu under his wing. Sorry, my tongue tie playing on me up there. And they like team up, and they're trying to, and he's basically like his big brother figure, and he's like looking after him, even though he's like 16, I think. So one thing that they do in the English is they age all the girls up. So in the Japanese, they're like 13 years old. Pudding is like 8. And then in the English, they were like 15, 16. Sakura was the oldest at like 17, turning 18. And then Pudding was about 12. They aged them up a bit, which I can understand why they aged them up, but it does play into the storyline with their ages and stuff. Now, there is a new series out called Tokyo Mew Mew New, which is apparently a more faithful adaptation of the manga than the old Tokyo Mew Mew that I used to watch. And I've seen a couple of episodes. I didn't know it was a more faithful retelling of the manga. I thought it was new content, and that they were making the second series into the anime. But no. I was sadly disappointed, because I went into it and I'm like, wait, what? I've seen this before. So I was a bit sad. But I'm going to go back now that I've gotten over my sadness and rewatch it, because Mew Mew power, woo! And more Tokyo Mew Mew, I need this in my life. And, you know, the inner child in me is screaming at me, like, why have you not watched this yet? I did watch it. I watched the first 3 episodes. And they were like carbon copies of basically what I'd already seen, and I was a little bit miffed, and I was like, no, this isn't new content, this is not what I was promised. And then realised what it was, and just had to sit with my disappointment for a while, and now I'm going to go back because I do want to. I never read the manga, so I do want to see the more faithful adaptation done. But at the same time, Tokyo Mew Mew holds a very special place in my heart, and I really like all the storyline from the original, and it was really good. It was just so good. So you have, like I said, you've got all of these storylines playing out, and each character has their own arc and their own storyline to fulfill. So like you've got with Lettuce, her overcoming her fear of water, and her overcoming her shyness, and her overcoming her doormatness, and this happens a couple of times. So not just with the 3 Beckys or with her 3 friends, I can't remember their names in the Japanese, I just know them as the 3 Beckys in the English, who are kind of using her, and then she starts standing up for herself a little bit when she becomes Mew Lettuce. And then later on, she has the storyline where she can't swim, and she overcomes that to save a little girl at the beach, and she ends up powering up and getting like a mermaid tail, so she gets more abilities there. And then later on, she ends up making these little toys and ends up getting taken advantage of by like a famous toy designer, and that plays out, and she really starts to come into her own. You've got Mint going from being spoilt rich girl who doesn't really care about anybody, is very standoffish and snobby, being more kind-hearted, being more open, coming into her own more, and just learning not to be such a snob, basically. But she's got some really nice storylines, where the one that really stands out for me is there's this tea party where she goes to, and there's a girl there who's like her rival and has always been trying to like one-up her and be better than her like their entire lives. And then it turns out that she's just lonely, and she's always wanted to be her friend, and she thought the way to do that with how cold and standoffish she was to basically try to one-up her and constantly be like, look at me, yo, notice me. And that resolves itself really nicely, and Mint kind of has a big moment there. She also learns to fly with her abilities, so her abilities level up and she learns to fly. Zoe's / Ichigo's abilities level up, and she starts turning into a cat if she is kissed, which causes some hijinks along the way. Pudding's abilities, I can't remember if Pudding's abilities level up or not, but you find out more about like her home life and her family life, and you find out that she's looking after like her 4 little brothers and then her little sister because her mum's gone. And like you learn that like there's a friend of like the lady who runs the daycare where she drops them off, starts helping her more, and then her dad comes back into the picture, and you thought that her dad was like gone, wasn't in the picture, and then he comes back into it, but he's in China, and he wants her to basically get married and take over like and stuff like that, and that plays out and it's really good. But she ends up having kind of like a cute little sweet romance with Tart, because he's about the same age and they're really silly and fun. And my favourite episode for them is they get caved in because of Tart, and he's like, I'm trying to kill you, blah blah blah, and why are you so happy? And she's like, because I'm not here alone, kind of thing, you're here with me. And they become friends through that, and it's really well done there, from like the fact that he starts to waver and he's not as devoted then to Deep Blue, and that plays in later in the finale, which I won't spoil if you haven't seen it. It is a really good show, you should go watch it. Yeah, and then you've got also the Quiche and Zoe storyline that plays into it, and Quiche is very much I love you, you're amazing, but I am your enemy, and that one. And Zoe's like, I don't like you, I don't love you at all, Aoyama is my one true love, kind of thing, and stop getting in my way. But then that plays out at the end as well. It's really well done. It's implied that Zakura as well kind of has something going with Pi. Really? Yeah. At points, because they seem to have a thing. But then again, I also ship Pi with Lettuce, so depends on my state of emotional well-being when I watch the show. I can ship them with anybody. Well, bar the main ones. I like Kiki and Tart, or Tarb as he's called in the English. So yeah, no, pudding and tart is cute, and then you've got Ichigo and Aoyama, and that's really cute. And those are my two ships. Those are my two main ships anyway in the show. Well, no, it's really cute. It's really fun. It's, like I said, 51 episodes. Only half of it is dubbed in English, but it is heavily edited and changed because it's a 4Kids dub. So if you can, I would recommend watching it all in Japanese, just because it's more complete that way and it makes more sense, and they don't cut out certain things. So like, I can't remember Mint learning to fly. All I know is that in one episode suddenly she's flying, so I don't know if they edited that episode or if they cut it out. I'm still rewatching all of it in Japanese. So like, I watched the first half in English and then I went and watched the second half in Japanese, and I'm currently on my rewatch and watching it all through in Japanese, and then I'll probably go and watch new to see and compare the differences. But yeah, definitely Tokyo Mew Mew, do give it a watch. Super cute, really good for young girls who are probably, I'd say even from like 8 upwards, it would be fine for young girls to watch. Really good, well written, well animated, cute storyline. It's one of my favourites. Go watch it. And if you've already watched it, tell me down below in the comment section who your favourite character is, what your favourite ship is, what you didn't like about it. You know, let's talk. But other than that, my kittens, I'm going to give you all of my love. I'm going to say eat something, drink something, and don't forget any medications if you are on them. And I will see you in the next videos, my lovelies. Au revoir!